Okay, the meeting is live. You can start whenever you're ready, Dale.
I would like to call to order the Finance and Budgeting Committee meeting for Monday, July the 13th. And I would like to ask the clerk to please call the roll.
On the roll, Mr. Miller,
Here.
Mr. Tuma,
Here.
Ms. Simon,
Here.
Mr. Gallagher,
Here.
Mr. Shrine,
Here.
Ms. Brown. Ms. Brown is absent at the moment. Ms. Baker,
Here.
you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. And the next item on the agenda is public comment. Has anybody signed in?
No, Mr. Chair, no one submitted any public comment.
Thank you. Item number 4 on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the June 29th, 2020 meeting. Those minutes have been distributed. Do we have a motion relative to those minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for June 29th as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it and the minutes are approved as presented. The next item is matters referred to the committee. We have 2 items. The first item is resolution number 2020-0143. And I would ask the clerk to please read that into the record.
Okay, before I read it into the record, it appears that Councilwoman Brown has joined the meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Resolution number 2020-0143, authorizing the issuance and sale of County of Cuyahoga, Ohio, Economic Development Revenue Refunding Bonds, Series 2020D, in the maximum aggregate principal amount of $935,000, sorry about that, for the purpose of refunding for debt charges saving certain of the county's outstanding recovery zone facility economic development revenue bonds, Series 2010F Medical Mart Convention Center project, which were issued for the purpose of providing monies to pay costs of a project within the meaning of Chapter 165 of the revised code, authorizing the execution and delivery of a first supplemental trust indenture securing the payment of the Series 2020D bonds, establishing funds of the county related thereto, authorizing the execution and delivery of a bond purchase agreement relating to the sale of the Series 2020D bonds and related agreements and certificates.
Okay, thank you very much. That issue is now before us. I'm going to call upon Director Chambers to present this item to the committee. And I know that we have our financial advisor, Mr. Franz, as well. So please proceed and explain the item.
Okay, once again, it's Mike Chambers with the Fiscal Office. I'm going to share my screen, so I'm not sure if anyone on your end has to help me out with that. The host disabled. Okay. Not sure if that's Trevor going to, oh, here we go. Thank you. Hopefully that's okay, hopefully everybody can see this.
Yes.
Okay. Get full screen. Okay, once again, this is the earliest opportunity we have this opportunity, sorry, to take advantage of refunding these bonds. The current rates, the current environment is very optimal for us at this time. The sole objective of what we're trying to do today is purely to take advantage of the low interest and start saving some money financially on an annual basis to achieve debt service savings. The general guidelines from the GFOA says anytime you have a savings of about 3 to 5% is the opportunity to take. As you'll see with this presentation, we're going to be much further in that What I have today planned is Bob France is our financial advisor. He'll be going through the presentation. I have Walter on the phone. I also have Greg Huth from Law, and we have our bond counsel from Squire Patton Boggs. We have Kate Tompkins and Mike Sharp. So we have a whole array of people here to help answer any questions. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Bob. Bob, are you there?
I'm here. Thanks, Mike. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good.
Okay, great. So just want to state the kind of the original issue. In 2010, the county issued about $343 million of bonds to partially fund the construction of the convention center, rehab, refresh, construction costs there, as well as the medical mart project. The bonds were sold in 3 different series. That was done for tax treatment issues to take advantage of a number of different opportunities that presented the county at the time through the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. So I just wanted to make clear that that was done for a specific reason. The bonds that we're looking to refund are currently the only 2010 bonds for this project that are still outstanding. In 2010, we issued the 2010 F bonds for a total principal amount of $200,235,000. Outstanding currently is $184,335,000. The difference being what we are requesting and what is outstanding is about a $21.5 million principal payment on December 1, 2020. So we are just looking to take advantage of current interest rates current low interest rates to achieve debt service savings on bonds that are callable 2021 through 2027. The next page, Mike, just kind of goes to show where we are. I actually took this is just a snapshot of the 4-year benchmark rate that we use for tax exempt issues since we sold the bonds in 2010. As you can see, it's kind of going all over the place, up, down, and then a big increase in March of this year, not a surprise. And then now we're at actually what it says is a current 33 basis points, 0.33%. It's actually 0.30%. That changed late on Friday, which didn't have time to get into the presentation. But that is the lowest rate on recorded history, tracking this all the way back to 1981. So rates are, by all measures, at historic lows. So we're simply trying to take advantage of that. And for this transaction, you can really think of it as equating it very similar to a home mortgage. We are at the current call date. So the proximity to the call date is minimal. It's only a couple of months. The call date on this is 12/1/2020, and borrowing rates are at historic lows. So we're really in a right position to take advantage of current interest rates, generate as much savings as we possibly can for the county. Going to the next page. This is our estimate as of today of what kind of savings we're looking at. Mike mentioned, Mike mentioned the GFOA recommended guidelines of 3 to 5%. Right there in the top right, that 12.5%, that's the equivalent number there. So we're well ahead of that. And essentially we're replacing bonds that the county's paying 4.98% on with bonds that will pay an estimated rate of about 1.5%. Over the life of the issue, we're looking at about $21.5 million of savings to the county. And about 3.34 million or so annually beginning in 21. So it is sizable, and it's very impactful for the county. We won't know exactly what the savings will be until we sell the bonds into the market, but that will happen if all goes according to plan sometime in mid-August. And then we'll know for certain what the savings will be. The next page is simply a placeholder for questions, and more than happy to field any questions anyone has.
Okay, thank you very much for that presentation, and I will open it up to questions from my colleagues.
Yeah, Dale, just a question from Jack.
Councilman Schron.
Now, what are the total cost of the reissuance, and what are we paying the attorneys in regards to this thing? Is this the net number after all financing costs have been applied?
Yes, these are net savings numbers. These are net figures.
And what's the cost of counsel on this?
We don't have those ironed out yet. Their estimated rates and estimated costs, but I can tell you they are estimated conservatively.
We also have the bond rating agencies too, Councilman Schron, that we have to fund as well out of this.
Right. That's why I'm asking the total cost of what it takes to reissue these.
Yeah.
You must have a range, certainly.
What's that?
We must have a range someplace of the.
Yeah, I mean, on a transaction this size, we're looking at less than 1% of costs on it. So, we're well under 800,000, something like that, would kind of be my number, 750 to 800,000 for a total cost number.
And that's already been reflected in our savings.
Yes.
We're hoping also to come in higher as well.
You think you're having trouble selling these at this point?
It is certainly an interesting market. I'll put it that way, because the good thing about this deal is it's not very long, meaning it's not a 30 or 35 year bond issue. The size is relatively large compared to others in the market, and especially being short, we're hopeful that there'll be sufficient demand for these. I think there will be. Being in the market as often as we are, it's a bit of a question mark when it comes to certain types of bonds, especially convention centers, or you can kind of throw convention centers, airports, and hotels kind of in the mix together, where investors aren't necessarily excited about investing in those types of projects. But being short, being large, we think we have a really nice position to get these things accomplished.
But I thought that when we spoke on the hotel not too long ago, that the concept of these hospitality-related products, maybe, and which we consider this to be in that category, are not attractive, and especially with where the county is looking like with all the other things going on. Do you think there's going to be a risk of not being able to place it?
No, I think I don't think there's a risk of placing this, in my opinion. The thing with the hotel discussion was, because of the tax law, those would have to be done taxable. So your rates are automatically higher at the onset. These are being done as tax exempt because we're right at the current refunding opportunity within 90 days of the current call date. So we're able to issue tax exempt bonds, which have much lower rates. In addition, we're right at the call date, so we don't need to fund an additional 3.5 years of interest with the bond issue. We're really just looking to fund a real small amount of interest and mostly refunding the principal amount associated with the refunding bonds.
Thank you.
Other questions by my colleagues? Director, we had discussed that there's one other refunding that we're currently looking at to possibly bring before the council goes into recess. Could you briefly tell us the gist of that?
Sure. I think at this time, we're focused on this particular one. And speaking with Bob and Greg, I think we still have plenty of time to bring it in. We're not going to meet it before you go on recess. So we are still waiting on our county prosecutor to, help us with the bond council determination. But once that's done, we're prepared to move pretty quickly. So I think we're going to be in good shape, Councilman.
And which bond issuance is that?
This is the Geo Bonds. Bob, do you have the year there handy?
Yeah, there was a series of 2012 bonds that were issued that also have a 12/1/20 call date. We're looking at those to see if those make any sense.
Okay, are there any other questions by my colleagues? If not, we would like to give the administration maximum flexibility in terms of having time available to complete this on the schedule that they have in mind. So I would ask if one of my colleagues would like to make a motion to refer this to the full council with recommendation for second reading suspension.
So move. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to refer this resolution number 2020-0143 to the full council with recommendation for leadership to put it up for second reading suspension. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Not surprisingly, no one's opposed to saving $21.5 million. And so the resolution is so recommended, and thanks very much for the presentations.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And I would now ask the clerk to please read the second item, which is resolution number 2020-0144.
Resolution number 2020-0144, authorizing an amendment to contract number CE 1700172 with Dell Marketing for a Microsoft Enterprise Agreement for various licensing and support services for the period 7/1/2017 to June 30th, 2020, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $8,464,100.31.
I did see that our director, Mr. Moles, is with us today. Are you doing the presentation on behalf of the administration for this item?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Chairman Miller. Andy Moles, Department of Information Technology. I put together a few slides. This is our renewal for our enterprise level agreement for Microsoft through Dell Incorporated. So I'm going to share out my presentation real quick.
And Director, I have not seen that presentation, so if you have not already done so, could you send it to the clerk so that it can be distributed to all the council members?
Well, that's the wrong presentation, so 1 second.
Okay.
1 second, I apologize.
Okay.
Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, and just to give you a little background, we initiated the enterprise level agreement back in 2017 to leverage a lot of cost savings that we had going on. Instead of having different groups of costs associated with the different services, we lumped everything in to a enterprise license agreement that basically gave us more savings and a lot better way of managing the license and usage across the county. Dell Marketing has been our preferred state term contact and vendor since 2017. This license agreement encompasses, which you'll see in the future slides, many, many services and licenses that go along with the enterprise agreement with Microsoft. The original contract was $2.7 million, which started in 17. Of course, we've added a lot of licenses throughout the years, the 3 years since 2017. So as you can expect, the costs have gone up. We had to accommodate a lot for security, a lot more for additional services and software. We've implemented more and more servers, which, as you can see, require SQL licenses, but the desktop licenses and all the products that are incorporated within the Microsoft agreement, the more products, the more users, of course, the prices have gone up or the licenses have gone up. We did account as a cost savings, juvenile court, they were utilizing an independent agreement with Microsoft. And as a cost savings approach, we asked them to come on board to ours to basically group those together. So we've been going around to the various agencies to see whether or not there is a huge need for them to have their independent licenses. I've been trying to do as much consolidation as possible to save a lot more money for the county. So the juvenile court was one that we brought onto ours. This also accounts for the Active Directory, which is basically the authentication and security for everyone to log in appropriately so we can track the users and protect the integrity of the data within our network. As you can see, this was back in 2017. These were all of the services or some of the services that we had originally started with. And as you can see, the licenses, the next slide will show you the increase, which got us to that point. I know it's kind of a little microscopic and it's very hard to read, but I know I got my reading glasses on. So as you can see, we've definitely increased a lot more licenses over the last 3 years. Again, incorporating other agencies onto our license agreement. We've added a couple additional services. The Azure product is a security product that we are going to be using to allow people and employees to reset their password. It's also a security measure on top of it. So it's very protected and encrypted. So people, it's more of a productivity tool. A lot of people get annoyed by having to change their passwords and sometimes don't do it appropriately, especially late at night. Now this product will provide a portal service where they can go in and reset their own passwords at their will. But this also incorporates Office 365 and of course all the SQL licenses and software that comes with it. Again, I can't elaborate as much. I think everyone knows how important Microsoft is to the county, as well as any other corporation out there, business units that are using Microsoft. We're trying to manage this the best way possible. We feel that we've gotten a pretty good deal. We've negotiated, they originally started at a little higher rate. We were able to negotiate the price down to the 2.8 per year. So the total comes to 8.4 million for 3 years, going through state term Dell marketing.
Okay, does that complete the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and are there questions from my colleagues?
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Brown?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Moles, with the with individuals working from home now, are we utilizing as many licenses as we normally would, or are they provided with devices that are that work in tandem with the licenses?
They are still using the licenses at home. So all the software and all the PCs that we've loaned out or people have taken from work still utilize the same software products like Office. They still authenticate as normal, and including on some of the product lines that we showed there, we're also getting some additional remote security features through Microsoft for those remote workers. So the answer is yes, they're still using those.
Okay, and you suggested, you just said that they're getting some remote security measures. So we haven't implemented those, but we're intending to. What's the status on that?
Until we renew the contract, we won't have the ability to do that right now. I still feel very confident that the remote workers are secure right now through our VPN encryption tools. So once we end up renewing this contract, we'll even have enhanced versions of software products through Microsoft that we can protect. If you want some more additional details, I'm not sure. I do have Jeremy Mio, my security officer, on the phone, who could elaborate more if need be.
I'm not. I won't pretend to be a IT person, but it does. I do look forward to putting those additional protections in place. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, other questions by my colleagues? Okay, I have a few questions. And the first question is, are there other people who could perform these services, and did we do any kind of a procurement process on this?
There's really nobody else. Right now, Dell has been our state term vendor, but Microsoft is Microsoft. So there's really no other vendor. If you're asking whether or not we could have gone to a different vendor or another reseller, we did not. Dell has been our preferred, and has been giving us the best pricing since 2017.
Have we done any recent checking on price availability elsewhere since 2017 or not since then?
I don't believe so. I know I have Janelle on the phone and Jeremy, but I don't believe we've gone out to compare prices with other resellers.
And
Janelle Green, Department of IT. We did, as Andy stated, leverage the state term pricing. Unfortunately, when we're talking about licensing, we found that resellers, have very little bandwidth to make any changes as far or offer any discounts. It's usually when it comes when there's services, a time and materials option. That's when we've leveraged more of a cost savings. But in terms of licensing, that was not something that we've discovered that there would be much of a cost savings on.
And Director, how much does the cost per license, how much is it higher under the proposed contract than it is compared to what we're currently paying?
I'm trying to understand, Chairman Miller. Your question is in regards to what we paid, the difference. If I'm trying to understand your question, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, let me rephrase the question.
Okay.
My question is, if you take the average license under the new contract, you said one of the things that made the cost higher under this contract than previously is that the cost of the licenses themselves has gone up. And my question is basically by how much? What percentage is the cost of the average license on this contract higher than what we're currently paying for the same licenses?
Understood. I don't have that information in front of me, but we can find out for you. I did not bring that with me.
Just to jump in, this is Janelle. We haven't seen, it's an increase, obviously, because as we go into contract renewals, they do increase. We haven't seen that much of an increase. It depends on the license also. Some of them increased by maybe 5%, others by 2%. So there hasn't been a significant increase in terms of, like for like licenses from the original agreement. But with this agreement, we've had some upgrades to some of the licenses that we've procured over the time of the original contract. So this is still around about 5% of an increase in terms of base cost over what the new contract has.
Okay, thanks for that answer. And are the licenses specific to individuals, or are we buying licenses that where different people can use the same license, but we have so many licenses in place that can be used at the same time?
These licenses are not concurrent. They are static. So when we sign up a user, each user that signs into the building or into the network, excuse me, these are all independent licenses for them. And as offboarding occurs, our process is that goes back into the bucket, those licenses, but it doesn't work in a concurrent fashion as you thought.
So if somebody leaves employment, we keep that license and hold it. And then if somebody new comes in, then the license can be transferred to that person. Is that how it works?
Yes, sir.
And how many licenses do we currently have that are not being used at this time?
And that's another figure that I have to ask my system administrators for.
Okay, well, I anticipated you might not have that one in mind. But if you would track that down and give us a follow-up response, I would appreciate that.
This is Jeremy Mio. I can shed some light onto that. We have at any given time probably a few hundred licenses that are available for additional users. Unfortunately, throughout the previous contract, Microsoft has changed their licensing tracking mechanisms a lot. In the newer contract, we will be able to go up and down licenses in a lot more flexible fashion, so we don't have as much leftover or additional licensing, so we can properly save additional costs month to month.
Okay, well, this sounds like an interesting area of inquiry, so I would like some more detailed follow-up information on this, if you would, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay, are there other questions by my colleagues? Okay, well, the date is already passed for when this contract was supposed to have started, so so I'm going to recommend second reading suspension to my colleagues and ask someone would be willing to make a motion to move this resolution to the full council with recommendation for second reading suspension.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilwoman Brown and seconded by Councilman Schron to move resolution 2020-0144 favorably recommended to the full council to be considered for second reading suspension. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say no. The resolution is favorably recommended. Thanks very much for the presentation and the answers to the questions. And under miscellaneous business, we have on our schedule that the next Finance and Budgeting Committee meeting will be 2 weeks from today for the update on the ERP project. And also tentatively, we have scheduled the following Thursday, the 30th for 1 p.m. for the Committee of the Whole meeting when we would hear from our consultant, Zig Bersons. Is there any miscellaneous business from any of my colleagues? Hearing none, I would just add one other thing, which is that I know it's early compared to the end of the quarter, but I'm gonna explore whether we might be able to get some preliminary numbers on the second quarter actuals to be presented at our July 27th meeting. So if that's possible, we might try to do that. I will share that the sales tax numbers are coming in better than was estimated in the year-long estimate that we received a couple months ago. So that's an encouraging sign, but we certainly have very serious challenges remaining. So if there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.